Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's show. And on today's show, Andrew McCabe, Trump's foil at the FBI, is fired hours before he could have retired to millions, $8 million to be specific, I believe, in pensions. Democrats are already flooding Andrew McCabe with federal offers to save his pension. Donald Trump doubles down, attacking Mueller's team, McCabe, and Jim Comey. How Trump consultants exploited Facebook data for millions. Nancy Pelosi is being attacked by Democrats now. And the real drama in Russia's election is going to come after the vote, as the election to re-elect Putin is today. It's not much of a surprise. But today we are honored to have with us Glenn Bradford. Glenn, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Spencer.
All right, we have a nice show for you today, and we are so glad you came to join us. Attorney General Jeff Sessions late Friday night fired a former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe a little more than 24 hours before McCabe was set to retire, a move that McCabe alleged was an attempt to slander him and undermine the ongoing special counsel investigation into the Trump campaign. So I was wondering, what is your initial reaction to this story?
Well, the timing of it does look suspicious. The entire investigation. Well, I'll have to back up a little bit. The Inspector General was tasked with writing up a report about how the FBI handled the Hillary Clinton investigation that took place in the summer of 2016. So it's a pretty overarching investigation, and part of it involved Andrew McCabe, who at the time was the Deputy FBI Director. And that report is not out yet. But what they did was there was some pressure from somewhere, either the President or from Jeff Sessions, it's not clear. But the Inspector General took out the piece of that big investigation that involved Andrew McCabe and isolated it and reviewed that and made a recommendation on what to do about Andrew McCabe's conduct in all of this, and then reached a conclusion that his conduct deserved firing. And then another FBI office agreed with that recommendation, and then Jeff Sessions is the only one who can do the firing, so it went to him. Andrew McCabe had only a few days to try to convince the DOJ that he shouldn't be fired, and then he was fired Friday at 10 o'clock. Friday night being the night when lots of kind of nasty news happens in the Trump administration.
That is
to
true.
try to bury it in the news cycle. And this was only 24 hours before he had planned to retire. He had planned to retire today. And as a result, it looks like his pension benefits are in jeopardy now. What makes this all very suspicious is how this Andrew McCabe piece of the investigation was fast-tracked in the Department of Justice. It's very unusual. Usually these things are very protracted. The IG had been working on the larger report for many, many months now, and it's not even out yet. So coupled with that and the fact that President Trump said texted in or tweeted in December that he wondered if it was a good idea if Andrew McCabe should retire with his full benefits, it really makes you wonder whether this was a political firing.
Yeah, I mean, there is definitely a point to be made about the results of the Inspector General and the Justice Department saying that there was a possible reason that this guy should be fired, but the fact that he was fired not directly after this was released, but just hours before he was set to, as you would say receive some pretty major retirement pensions. that does make it a little bit more suspicious. Sessions announced the decision in a statement just before 10 p.m., as you say, noting that the Department Inspector General, DOJ Inspector General, and the FBI office that handled discipline had found that McCabe had made an unauthorized disclosure to the news media and lacked candor, including under oath on multiple occasions, which is kind of rich if you think about it, coming from Jeff Sessions, who has, in fact, lied under oath to the Congressional Committee on the subject of whether he met or had any contact with Russians during his confirmation hearings. But, yeah, that just kind of shows you the way the Trump administration handles themselves in the way they attack their political opponents.
Yeah, and what makes this interesting is that the thing that he was fired for was that he authorized an FBI agent to discuss with the Wall Street Journal a story that they had been working on, and that they wanted to make it clear to the Journal that they had gotten the wrong idea about the Hillary Clinton probe. The Wall Street Journal was reporting that the FBI was dragging their feet on investigating the Clinton Foundation, and Andrew McCabe had directed the FBI agent who spoke to the Wall Street Journal to tell them that that was not the case. So it wasn't even, something favorable that he was allowing to be discussed about Hillary Clinton. It was something actually that wasn't going to benefit Hillary Clinton. So it's a little ironic that that's the thing that he's being fired over and the thing that's being politicized. It's not even clear exactly why President Trump doesn't like Andrew McCabe so much. It baffles me a little bit. He keeps tweeting that his wife got political contributions from someone who was connected to Hillary Clinton, but 3 steps removed or something like that. I just don't know why he's so worked up about Andrew McCabe, other than there's that, which doesn't seem legitimate. The other thing that might be bothering Trump is that McCabe is one of the key witnesses in the Mueller probe,
Mm-hmm.
because he was one of the people who was briefed about Comey's memos that he had written after talking to the president. He'd been briefed the next day, so that the contemporaneous notes he can confirm that they were written at the time and not at some later date. But there were other people. McCabe is not the only witness to that. But there's something more to McCabe that I don't think has been fully reported yet. Maybe we'll find out about it.
Yeah, I mean, from watching occasional Fox News, other Republican programming, there has been a lot of mention of Andrew McCabe being kind of in the pocket of Hillary Clinton in the way that you say, kind of benefiting her, and I think it was that was Peter Strzok, but with the text between Lisa Page and Peter Strzok about how bad how bad Trump was. But the interesting thing is, he has done moves that are incompetent, but they had moved to both benefit the FBI director. The Clinton and Trump. So he's kind of been bad to both sides in a weird way, I think. So that kind of just shows you that there has to be, as you say, something else going on here. Kind of my suspicion is that they are focused on taking down people who are going to hurt them when it comes to the Mueller investigation. But, McCabe, he was not too happy about this, saying, I have terminated, when Sessions said, quote, I have terminated the employment of Andrew McCabe effective immediately. He did a statement that was not a very pleased one, let's just say the least. But first, let's talk about what Sessions alleged. McCabe alleged. So he responded Friday night, McCabe did, with a lengthy statement claiming he was being targeted because he was a special counsel. He was a witness in special counsel Robert Mueller's probe into whether Trump campaigned, coordinated with Russia, and asserting that his actions were appropriate. He also alleged that FBI Director James Comey knew about the media disclosure about which the Inspector General had raised questions. So he said, quote, "This attack on my credibility is one part of a larger effort not just to slander me personally, but to taint the FBI, law enforcement, and intelligence professionals more generally." McCabe said, "As part of the administration's ongoing war on the FBI and the efforts of the special counsel investigation, which continue to this day, the persistence in this campaign only highlights the importance of the special counsel's work." So do you think there is kind of a direct attack on the FBI here coming from this Donald Trump's administration in particular?
Definitely. And his tweets this morning, in fact, have amped it up a bit. He's starting to name Mueller now in his tweets, whereas prior to this, he had left his name out of it, and he'd be saying, this is just a witch hunt and blah, blah, blah. Now he's specifically naming Mueller, and in fact, John Dowd, his personal lawyer, tweeted just yesterday, I think it was, and also mentioned that the Mueller probe should be finishing up. There's no doubt. I mean, whether Trump has a specific plan here is less certain, but he's punching back, and this is the kind of thing that he's learned throughout his career, that when someone comes after you, you go after them twice as hard. So you're seeing that, even though the repercussions of going after the FBI could have, long-term effects on that bureau. He doesn't seem to care. I should go back to the McCabe statement. One of the very intriguing things he said at the beginning of his statement was that one of the things he worked on earlier in his career was investigating the Russian mafia. And you have to wonder why he put that in there, and whether or not that is sending a signal to other investigators for why he in particular is being targeted by the president. We noticed that just prior to Secretary of State Tillerson's firing, that he had made a very strong anti-Russian statement. And just before leaks came out of the White House that the president had decided to fire National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster, he had also just previously made very strong anti-Russian statements. So, you have to wonder if Trump has some kind of back channel to the Kremlin, and the Kremlin is directing the president to make these moves. No one is coming out in the media and being so bold and brash as to say these things, because there's no evidence for them yet, but it looks really suspicious. And the attacks on McCabe in particular are striking. And now we learn that he's gone after the Russian mafia earlier in his career. And we all know that the Russian mafia has direct ties to the Kremlin. And then also these murders in England of these ex KGB and FSB.
The acid attacks there.
Yeah, the nerve agent attack, and there was also another murder a few days later of another ex-spy from Russia.